Hello and welcome to Filmi Ladies. We are Beth and Beth. And today we're going to talk about a movie that has been on my watch list for a very, very, very long time. And I'm only finally getting around to it. As some of you podcast listeners might know, I really enjoy Rituparno Ghosh's movies, particularly Raincoat and Chokher Bali. I'm not as big a fan of Antar Mahal and Last Year, but I still appreciate the effort he put into those. So I really wanted to see this movie. It's in Bengali. It's called Unishe April. It has the absolute powerhouse that is Aparna Sen. It also has Debashree Roy. And it's a very interesting story because I feel like we come from a cinema culture and also just a society where Ma is omnipresent, omniscient. She is, venerated even as a goddess. Like there's Ma Durga. And so many times when moms are portrayed in Indian cinema, they are very much caricatures and they're just put up on a pedestal. And, it's so rare to find movies in which mothers are women first, individuals first, human beings first. And then motherhood is just one of the things that they have experienced in their lives. And Unishe April is one of those films that takes a look at something even rarer, which is a not particularly harmonious, quite tense, anxious, strained relationship between a mother and a daughter. And so I thought, hey, even if whether I like the movie or I don't like the movie, it's at least going to be an interesting, thought-provoking concept to watch. And so I'm very happy I watched it. And then, of course, when I suggested to Beth, I was like, can we do Unishe April, especially right in time, like around the date in April? She was like, yes, of course. And I was like, okay, awesome. So Beth, I'm going to ask you, number one, I know you have also seen some Rituparno Ghosh's movies. Had you seen Unisha April before or
No,
heard about?
I had never, and it was one I had heard about, and it did win two national awards. So it's one that, and I gather it very much cemented his place as a, director of note.
And it was only his second film ever,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is quite amazing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Yeah,
but so I'd heard a little bit about it over the years, but I had just never prioritized it for whatever reason. So I was
yeah.
really glad. I'm always glad to watch Bengali cinema, as
Mhm.
regular listeners know, and this is not what I gravitate to this era. So it was good to have a an assignment for myself.
Yeah.
So
Do you want to tell our viewers like a quick synopsis of the movie, what it's about?
sure. So this is the story of a family, and the family that we mostly know is the daughter and the mother. But the film opens with a flashback to when the daughter is about 8 or 10 or something like that, and her father has died, and her mother is not there. And so you see the daughter being taken care of by household staff and, family, I assume. And the mother is not there
Various
because she
aunties.
is a nationally known famous dancer, and so classical dancer, and so she's away when this happens. And then we come to the present day and we just see that the daughter um, has never really gotten over this, has never developed a relationship with her mother. With the absence of her father, she very much idolizes her father. She's a medical student. I believe she's finished medical school.
Yes.
Yeah, and is about to go be a doctor in Delhi, but she's come back to Calcutta to for a little bit. And her boyfriend in Delhi is played, and this is Debashree Roy, who won a national award for Best Actress for this film. And her boyfriend is played by, of course, there could be no other choice, Prasenjit, son of Biswajit, her real life husband for a nanosecond at about the time this film was released.
I did not know that.
They were married for a year. And
Wow, that's short.
in 1994 to 1995, this film came out in 94. I don't know if they were together yet when this happened, but they've known each other since childhood, acting families. For those who don't know, Debashree Roy is the maternal aunt of Rani Mukherjee. So here we have the humongous Mukherjee family tree coming into play. Um, and yeah, so it's mainly those two women, but you also do see the women who work in the house. You see the boyfriend a little bit. The mom has a friend her own age, Dipankar Day. That's an actor that you'll know if you watch Bengali cinema much. He's kind of her friend slash
Hmm.
what, professional advisor kind of, or like secretary a little bit. Like he's not in the arts world, it doesn't seem, but he's there and he's useful. Um, and it's about the daughter and the mother kind of experiencing each other on the anniversary of the father's slash husband's death. And you see a lot
which is, of
change,
course, Unishe April, the 19th
right?
of April.
And you see a lot change over the course of it's mostly a day we spend in the film, but there are flashbacks. So you get of course, the opening one where the daughter is a child. You get her earlier in her relationship with her fiance, and then you see them more recently as she's about to leave Delhi to come to this current trip to Calcutta on the train. And you see a flashback to the mother and the father a couple times in their earlier in their marriage.
Mhm.
And one of the things I want just to note is that Pitu and I are both only children who are daughters and whose fathers have passed away. So this is kind of shocking to have a film that is about us sort of demographically.
Yeah,
So the points of the stories of our lives are all very different from this.
right,
And my own relationship with my mother is way better than this one. So
right.
I'm glad for that. Nor is my mother a nationally famous dancer. Um, so that was really interesting to see like a mother-daughter movie, which we don't get very often.
Yeah.
And mother-son, that's different, as we all know, but mother-daughter, we don't get so much. We have both very professional women, which is fascinating. Like this as a film about women at work
Hmm.
would be quite striking. So there's a lot going on in this movie, and it's really very interesting. Um, I have to say, it took me a while to get into this because I found this was kind of stereotype art film slow to me.
Yeah.
And not just slow because things were happening, but I was just like, this is so mushy and like not emotionally mushy, just like bleh. Um, and I felt like a lot of the acting was very theatrical, very stylized, and
Mhm.
that took me a while to get into. I have to say a thing that I know some fans of Bengali cinema are not going to like. I don't think Aparna Sen is that great of an actor. I really don't. I like her as a director better. I think she's fine in this. I don't think she's amazing. Like, I would rather have seen Rocky in this role, frankly, or
Hmm.
Sharmila.
Hmm.
There are some amazing Bengali actresses of this approximate generation, like,
Of this
but
vintage.
of this vintage, yeah. However, I didn't think she was bad, but and I did appreciate the sort of longer chunks of dialogue she had toward the end. That was
Mm.
helpful. And then Debashree Roy, there's a lot of crying in this movie. She's got the
Yes.
very theatrical cry. And I'm not sure if that's how this actress does this or it was something specific for this role that Ghosh told her to do or whatever, but that kind of took me a while to get into as well. And it wasn't like it was inappropriate because big things are happening. She's grieving her father, she's dealing with this relationship. And I'll issue a spoiler warning here. I think we'll probably get into some spoilers. Um, but it just felt very stagey to me, kind of
Hmm.
artificial, which is something I have felt in a few of other Ghosh's films, although not all
Yeah.
of them. So
Last Lear in particular, I would say.
Last Lear in particular, yeah, this was really reminding me of that. So when you were saying you really like his films, I'm like, well, you really like two of them,
Like two of them, yeah.
which is more than I
No,
like
but I
some
really like
directors'
this one
films.
too. So now
Right,
I like three of his.
right.
So
And
I really like three, and I think two are okay. So I feel like
yeah,
that's a good track record.
and interesting attempt, right? The ones that I
Yes.
don't like, I even think like I'm glad this got made. I think this is
Yeah.
interesting. And the script I think is excellent.
Hmm.
My issues are with the performances, but I thought the content of the film,
Yes.
the way it was shot and everything worked really well for me. I love the story. So I am really glad to have seen this.
Yeah. I mean, like to your point, like when they do movies about moms, it's always mom and son, right? It's always ma beta. It's always Shashi Kapoor saying "Mere paas maa hai." And I feel like in real life, I know so many women who have very tense, very difficult, not like bad, but just much more dramatic relationships with their mothers. Whereas the son of the family almost always has it so much easier and so much less complicated. And I've seen that even in my own friend circle where some of my friends are empty nesters and they have like the son and the daughter who are off in college. And it's like the relationship between the mom and the son is so much easier, for lack of a better word, than the relationship with the daughter. And so I just feel like it's so weird that in Indian cinema, whenever they're showing like a mother and child relationship, it's always mother and son. And I'm like, okay, but like that's not as interesting though, because in so many of these movies and also in real life, you have this whole mama's boy trope happening, and then you have the mom being like, mere jigar ka tukda, whatever. And I feel like the real meat is in the mother daughter relationships. And I just feel like those just aren't explored as much. Um, and so I was really glad that they were talking about this. And I really found it interesting, like the triangulation in this movie, because three is a crowd. and you have the mom, the dad, and the
Mm,
kid. And the kid is so strongly aligned with the father to the point that she even chooses his profession. Like she says, when she was
yeah,
very
that's right.
young, she decided she wants to become a doctor like him. That's a very interesting choice to make, as opposed to saying, I wanted to be a doctor because I think it's prestigious, or I want to become a doctor because I love science. I want to become a doctor to help society.
Help
No,
the
I want
world.
to become a
Yeah,
doctor because that's what my dad
my
does.
dad. Hmm.
It seemed very like hero worshipy to me. And right from the outset, I felt like the daughter was a little bit of an unstable narrator in a way, where I was kind of like, because the movie, at least at the beginning, we're very much seeing it from the daughter's, her name is Mitu, like that's her dark name, but her real name, her Balo name is Aditi. And we're seeing it from her perspective. And it's always, everything is from her lens. Like my mom is this way and my mom is that way. And I was just kind of like, right from the get go, I was like, I don't know if your mom is as terrible as you seem to think she is, but maybe like we'll see how the story unfolds.
Yeah, yeah,
And once Aparna Sen really starts getting into the substance of the film, and I was like, oh, I kind of am starting to feel that shifting loyalty towards the mom. And then again, my loyalty kept shifting between the two characters.
yeah.
And then towards the end, I was very happy to see the reconciliation between them. How did you feel about that?
I
Like, were you taking a side?
honestly, I was a little peeved at both of them,
Okay.
but not so much for the way they treated each other because I thought that as much as their dis-ease, their uneasiness with each other, I'm not sure I ever went to full hostility, but like they
Yeah.
don't seem to know each other. They don't seem to recognize each other. They almost don't seem to acknowledge each other, which is interesting. And I think we've all experienced, whether ourselves or with friends or siblings, when the child becomes an adult too, that's a whole new world, right? And here we have
Yes.
someone who's very much an adult because she's in her mid 20s and she's going to go be a doctor, which is a very adult profession. Um, and that was and also interestingly, they both are professionals around the body, but in very different ways, which I thought was
Mm-hmm.
interesting to think about. So I was kind of sad for them, but I felt like I could see both their points of view.
Yeah.
And this film gets at something again, which we don't see as super ton, although we do see some, is like when the mother wants to keep her career. That is touched upon. It's kind of lighter here than in other things, and I think it seems to have the way I understood it, and we're both dealing with subtitles here, is that it was more the fact that the mother was absent rather than the fact that she was working. So like
Right.
if she had found a way to maybe not travel but still keep her
Like, be a
prestige
dance
or
teacher.
whatever. Yeah, and then we do find out later in the film that the mother did step away from dance for a couple years when she has a baby and she's miserable.
Mm-hmm.
And this came up in Punga, that film I watched with Kangana about her being an athlete who gives things up after she's a mother and then, decides to come back. It's very compelling.
Yeah.
That's not my own life path, but I've certainly seen it, and it's deeply difficult for women in many cultures,
Yeah.
US where we live being one of them for sure. So I really felt for both of them, and I thought they were both wrong at the same time, right? Like you could kind of see how they had come to this point. And of
Mm-hmm.
course, it's easy to idolize the father when he disappeared when you were a child. Like you'd never had a
Right.
chance to know him as an adult because we find out in the flashbacks the dad's a bit of a dick.
Yeah.
And the mom explains this somewhat to her daughter, and the daughter hears her, I thought, which
Mm-hmm.
was remarkable. And there's a scene where the daughter, she's got this photo garlanded for her father by her bed, and I believe she had it with her in Delhi also. So it seems like she travels with it. Is
Mm-hmm.
my take?
It may just be like a copy or
That's
something.
true. It
I
could be a
don't know.
copy. Yeah. And she takes the garland off because also we passed midnight into the day.
Mm-hmm.
But then she also puts it away, and you can kind of see that she views him differently after having had this important conversation with her mother, which I thought was
Yeah.
really moving because it takes a lot to take in new information about someone you revere.
Mm-hmm. Unflattering information.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So I
it's
really liked that.
also this notion, right, of like, we always think of our parents as like just our parents, like that is their sole identity to us,
Right.
but they are actual human beings with
Yeah.
their own
Yeah.
needs and wants and desires. And just because this character's dad was such a wonderful dad to her, it sounds like, it doesn't mean he was a wonderful husband. And there were some scenes where when the mom is talking, I just found one of the dialogues in this movie to be like shockingly awesome, especially
Ooh,
the way Aparna Sen said it. So like I do need subtitles to read, like to watch Bengali movies, but there's a lot of words that are in common with
yeah,
like Hindi and Marathi.
yeah.
And there's this word that she used, and she used it with such, it wasn't even disdain. She said it so dismissively. And I was like, ooh, okay, like that's a gut punch. She was describing the difference between herself and her husband, Aditi's father. And she literally says, your father uses the word shodhoran, like which is the Hindi and Marathi sadharan, which means he was ordinary. Like he was an,
Oh,
I was like, eeks. Like it's almost like if she had said he was a monster, it would have been less shocking to me because it was
yeah,
like, oh,
basic.
yeah, like she literally basically was essentially she was saying, I'm Barbie, he's Ken.
Yeah,
That's what she was saying.
yeah.
And
Oh, that's
and what I
great.
and what I thought was even more cutting, it's not even, she didn't even say it with anger. Like she didn't even say, you know what your father was? He was
Right,
sadharan. He was shadharan. She didn't say that. She just says he was ordinary, like just so matter of fact, like. And she didn't even feel the need to then punctuate that by saying, you know who's not ordinary? Me, because I'm a star, I'm a
right,
dancer, because then that would have made her the asshole in the story, right?
right.
She just basically says he was ordinary. And that just says it all, because then my mind is filling in all these blanks, right? Like I am like, wait, like, did he just not understand your greatness? Was he just not driven and ambitious? Was he just one of those doctors that goes to his clinic and does his job and leaves and just has none of the spark that you have? And she is clearly not just a dancer. This movie opens with the news that she has won the Sangeet Natak Academy Award, which is like a really, really big deal. Has he won any awards for his
Right.
contributions to medicine? I doubt it.
No.
So when she says that, I was just like, man, that's like a knife. That's like a knife you're twisting in her heart. And at the same time, that is
Yeah.
her truth.
Yeah. And at the same time, she also says they had a love marriage.
Yes.
You can also admit that even though he was ordinary, I loved him, or I loved him even though he was ordinary. Like that
Yeah.
she links herself to him at least at one point in time. It's not like I had to marry him.
Right.
I quickly found out he was ordinary and I lived my life despite him. A little
Mm-hmm.
more complex than that.
Yeah. And it's like she was almost like she wasn't like criticizing him for that, but she was also saying someone who is that ordinary is just never going to understand the kind of person I am. And I think the way, especially that that scene was crafted, I think that Rituparno Ghosh as a director did such a good job. The writer did a good job. Aparna Sen did such a good job, because in the wrong hands, I feel like she could have come across as such a dick.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm a star, and instead of that, she just came across as this woman who was deeply disappointed by her husband and knew that like she was always going to outshine him. And
Yeah.
it was his lot in life to either accept her brilliance and be cool with it and have grace about it, or he was just gonna like be like a male chauvinist, and he chose the path of male chauvinism, and it's
He's a
so disappointing.
he's a pouty baby.
He is a pouty baby. I was like, if I was married to like this beautiful, glamorous dancer, I would just be like so show offy and smug about it. I'd be like, my life,
Grumbash
the
Schwab.
I would be such a schwaff. I would not be a grumpy camel. He was such a grumpy camel. And I was like, did you not know how brilliant she was when she, it felt very much like Abhiman, the movie,
Yeah.
50 years later.
And Abhinetri, the Shashi
Yes.
film, which I reference a lot. That's my benchmark for this kind of story.
Yeah.
Um, and at the same time, she's also annoying.
She is. She's very much a diva. She's very much like, I'm a star. And
Mhm.
she's very cruel and dismissive towards her daughter. And I felt like the greatest kindnesses shown to this child slash grown adult are actually from the maid servant, well, the nanny, who was called Boya.
Mhm.
She was really the one who was taking care of this kid. And then also Somnath, who is not this girl's father. And at first I was like, who
Her mom's
exactly is
friend,
he?
yeah, or
Yeah,
whoever.
he's her friend, but also I think her lover, but
Question mark.
maybe
He also
question
seems
mark.
kind of ordinary, though, right?
He is, yeah.
But he's at least friendly about it.
Yeah, and he
He's
is
not a
kind of
baby.
he's nice to the daughter, and he's also like trying to be a little bit of a bridge between the
Mhm.
two of them. Like when Aparna Sen is like bitching about her daughter, and she's like, "Ugh, this generation is so like ungrateful," blah blah. He's like, "Yeah, it's fine. Like, give her some space. She's okay." And
Yeah.
I felt like a lot of that kindness and warmth that other characters in this movie were showing towards the daughter, the mother didn't seem to have. that much kindness towards her. But also the daughter wasn't being particularly kind to the mother either.
No.
They're both just like sparring all the time.
Yeah, and you can see why.
Yeah.
I would like to talk about the household staff a little bit because I had a very strong reaction to how the main characters treat the household staff, and I couldn't tell if I was just being a middle class American who does not live in a world where there are household staff. I
Aditi
know
was
India is
so
very different,
rude
but
to
they
the
were so
nanny.
rude to the okay, thank you. I was
So rude.
just and
I wanted to slap her.
these women could not do anything for themselves, nor would they do anything this for themselves, despite they're both extremely competent, professional adult people. And it was just like they'd be sitting, the daughter would be sitting on the bed and ask someone else to turn on the fan. It's like 10 feet across the room. Get up and turn on the fan.
Yeah.
It was just relentless. I'm like, no wonder you can't relate to each other because all you do is assume that everybody else is there to serve you.
Yeah.
And so,
They
of course, she was
both
from her mother
definitely
years of
have a lot of selfishness in them. You can
yeah,
see that in both of them.
they
It's
do.
even in that scene when Aparna Singh comes back, like she's flown off to Madras and then the flight gets canceled. And so she has to like come back and it's like raining and everything. And she's so irritated. Like she's like, what do you mean Boya is gone? Like, what do you mean you told her to go home? And she's like, yeah, I told her. And then she's like, what about Moina, who's like the little girl who works there? And she's like, well, I told her to go home too. And she's like, what? She's so irritated. And I'm like, considering how dependent you are on your household staff, you certainly don't treat them with a modicum of respect and
Not
you're
at
just
all.
irritated and you're like, oh, just tell them to stay back. Why? So they could just serve you hand and foot? Like there's a storm happening. How
They
about you
didn't even know
like,
the mother would be coming home because the flight was canceled. Like, and this is
yeah,
1994, so this is not
yes,
like I texted, you know.
right. No, they're definitely both like it's funny because I feel like these characters, if we were Somnath, for instance, and we said to the mother, you know, there's a lot of you in your daughter, and if we said to the daughter, there's a lot of you in your mother, they would be so upset with us for
Absolutely.
saying
Yeah,
that. They'd
they
be
want to
like,
hear
absolutely not. I'm nothing
that.
like her. But they are.
They
They
are.
both have main character syndrome.
Yeah, we do. I also would like to talk about the boyfriend. And
Okay,
spoiler,
so
spoiler, spoilers now, I think.
listeners, one of our daily problems that Beth and I experience is the temptation to WhatsApp each other with our very strong opinions and emotions and feelings, usually in all caps and usually with like emojis, like, and then one of us has to be the grown up and say to the other, okay, save it for the podcast, save it for the recording. We're not going to talk about this right now. And then the other person has to shut up. And so I knew I couldn't say too much. So I sent Beth a message where I said, I hate the boy, and like emojis. And then I said, okay, I'll shut up now. Okay, go on, talk about the boyfriend.
So, played by Prasenjit
Sudeep.
Chatterjee, the Bengali star of the like 90s and 2000s. We've mentioned him a little bit on the show before. He's in The Last Lear. Um,
Hmm.
and I have said, and he was in the Rani Mukherjee debut film that I watched for our episode
Oh,
on
yeah.
her. So her uncle, former
Yeah.
uncle by marriage. That's weird. Um, Such as the film Family Nepotism World.
Yes.
I don't get Prasenjit most of the time. I have seen him in a few things where I thought he was quite good, but he's just one of those like I hate saying the word regional because it automatically subsumes everything under Hindi, which is totally unfair. But the not of the non-Hindi stars that I have tried to comprehend, he's the
Yeah.
biggest head scratcher to me. I don't get it.
Interesting.
And
What do you mean?
I just don't get his
Because I
appeal.
have no opinions on this man.
I think he's I think he's handsome,
He
right?
is.
Looks like his dad. He's got like the big eyelashes. Like
Yeah.
he's an attractive, a conventionally attractive man.
Yeah.
I just don't get like I don't get superstar off of him. But
So
I
is
also
he like a heartthrob? Like,
yeah,
are
he
women
was.
like
Yeah, he
crazy?
definitely
Okay.
was. Yeah. And he's the male star. Like after Uttam Kumar, he's the big Bengali star for a couple of decades, or at least a decade and a half
Interesting.
until kind of
Okay.
a more recent crop in the 2010s. And he does do art films and mainstream, right? So he
Mm,
does a variety of stuff. And he's in a movie that's very much an homage to Nayak called
mm.
Autograph, and he plays the movie
Okay.
star in that. And he's quite
Okay.
good in that, I think. There's another movie he does with Bapasha Basu that I quite liked. Um, and in that film, she wears like a turtleneck sweater with a sari, and she looks so beautiful. It's like such a cool style.
Well,
Anyway,
you know I cannot resist Bipasha Basu,
I
so
know
I am
I'll have to send
immediately
you
going
a
to look up
film of
this
that.
movie.
Um, and so it was interesting to see him in this. I mean, again, my knowledge of 90s Bengali cinema is very small, but I was like, oh yeah, of course he's here and his
He's
excellent.
such a cad
He's
in
such a
this
cad.
movie.
Well, he's not a cad because he's not cheating as far as we know, or like sleeping
Yeah.
or anything, but he's so we find out that first of all, he does not come to the train station to see her off, and his excuses are lame. And she's standing on the train, like looking at the platform for him, and then looking out the window from the train. And the train, he never comes. And he's supposed to call her, and that's a whole kerfuffle. And he's being like, "Oh, I don't want to call you because it's a trunk or whatever." However, phones worked
Yeah.
back then, I don't remember. In India, I certainly don't know. And then
He doesn't want to pay the STD rate.
right, and then he calls and says, or no, is it a letter or a phone call?
It's a phone call, I think.
He gets in touch and says his family does not approve of her mother being a dancer and they won't let him marry her. And just the heartbreak for this girl, and she's not a girl, she's like a 26 or 24-year-old woman or whatever, but she seems very young in that moment.
She
And
does.
they've been together for 5 years, the film makes clear. So like it's she's so removed from her mother that she hasn't really talked about this very much. He knows it, but they've never told his family.
Hmm.
Um, which seems like a major oversight to me because he must have been aware his parents were at least somewhat classist or whatever. But, you know,
He literally uses the word Gharelu at one point, which I didn't even know that that word exists in Bengali because I
mm,
only know it in the Hindi context. But he literally says, "My parents want a Gharelu daughter-in-law, like just like a homely." That's literally the literal translation of Gharelu
yeah,
is homely. They just basically want like a housewife. They don't want someone who's a doctor. And she literally says to him, "I'm willing to not practice as a
right.
doctor." And I'm like, girl,
So there's that. And then the whole your mother is a dancer thing. It's just enraging. He's enraging and he's kind of I do think the actor does a good job at being this
yeah.
like what kind of loungy. He's so loungy. He's so like loose and like languid all the time in a way that I
He's
think
always
because he doesn't
horizontal.
he doesn't care. He has no effort. He doesn't care. Um so
He gives trust fund baby.
he does
Like
kind of
he
give
gives
trust
off
fund
that
baby.
vibe, even though he does complain about the money. So he probably isn't rich, but my guess is he's very spoiled and
Oh yeah, yeah,
entitled.
yeah. He has Mama's Boy written all over him.
Yeah.
And of course she's the opposite of a mama's girl. And you just but you see, and that kind of that happens that thing about the marriage happens on the 19th of April. And so that's another
Hmm.
heartbreak that she's dealing with on this day that's already hard for her. Um and you see she and their mom talk about this a little bit and the mom says it's good you found this out. You don't want to marry into that family anyway. They're clearly no good. And
Yes.
she's right.
Yeah.
And then we learned that she too has had someone dealing with unable to deal with her artistic and professional life.
Yeah.
And it's really sad, but I love that that's a point of bonding and that the mother can offer some lived wisdom and the daughter
Hmm.
hears it.
Yeah.
And we children
And
didn't
it's
always hear our parents' lived wisdom. So it was
right.
great that she does.
Just this kind of like cycle repeating where women are punished and their career choices are weaponized, and it's just kind of like, and it's not what was even more enraging to me was that it's not even Aditi's career choice, it's her mother who's a dancer. What do you care? You don't have to live with her mother. Like, even if her mother is like a famous dancer, what's it to you? Right. And it was just so enraging to me because it feels, to some extent, I understand how defensive and how proud Sarojini, the character is Aparna Sen, is about her chosen vocation and the pride she takes in it, because she has clearly had to fight societal expectations and her husband's expectations for so long. Like, it even made me question, like, okay, so her potential possible would-be son-in-law comes from a family where they don't want, to get married into like a dancer's family. That almost made me wonder, like, when she had her love marriage with Aditi's father, with her husband, what was his parents' reaction? Like, did they have to elope? Did they have a problem with her being a dancer? It's like every single person seems to have an issue with this woman being a dancer. So, like, her husband had an issue with it. Her daughter seems to have an issue with it. Her daughter's potential fiance and his family seems to have an issue with it. And it's like, let the woman live. Y'all probably don't have a modicum of talent. I was so upset on her behalf. And then, especially to juxtapose it with the fact that the Indian government is giving this woman one of the greatest honors that is conferred upon, upon like dancers. And it's like, and yet in your eyes, she's a nobody. And also, I love that scene where she kind of throws it in her face, where she says something to the effect of, oh, so I'm not a good enough mother. And yet when I funded your medical studies, that was good enough for you. Like, whose money do you think was funding your medical studies? And I just found that was like, an interesting thing for her to say as well.
They're just such a these two women, like I'm so hopeful for them by the end,
Yeah.
and they exist in these worlds that definitely involve other people, but I am still so glad for them that they can carve out space to hear each other and kind of work. One conversation on a dramatic night is not going to fix their relationship, but you at least see them trying and listening to each other, and
Hmm.
it's really great. And the you know the mother's friend, he's not in these final scenes, he's not at the house with them, and obviously stupid Prosenjit in Delhi is not we're not dealing with him really anymore, but at the end of the film he does call, and
Hmm.
the daughter is very slow to go to the phone to talk to him, and the mother kind of puts her hand on her back and says, like, go work it out or try to work on it or something like that, and you
Hmm.
see the daughter take the phone, and that's the
Yeah.
end of the film. And
Hmm.
that's quite interesting. I hope they don't get back together. I don't care if he apologizes because he can't, his family is going to be a big obstacle.
Oh
And
yeah, he's not going to stand up to them.
no. And even if he did, it's not going to last for long, I don't think.
No.
Um, and I hope she does go back to Delhi and takes her job and, meets somebody else, or doesn't mind that she's on her own, or whatever it may be, right? We don't see either of these women really have friends, which is,
Yeah.
I wanted so badly for them both to have some friends. Now the dancer has students who
And fans.
and fans, so that's something, and students who seem to know her well in a way that her daughter doesn't. So that's something. But like this daughter, like she needs some friends. Where are your med school friends, girl?
She doesn't have no friends because she's only hanging out for Sinjit, Beth.
I guess I'm getting his stupid
And maybe
sweat
all
stuck
her
in her
friends
face.
told her to dump him, and she was like, "No, you're jelly."
We don't know about
Also,
that.
by the way, do we know what Prasenja's character does in this movie? Like, I don't think he's a medical student or a doctor. What does he do? Have they told us? Do we know? He
Lounges.
just vibes. He just lounges.
He vibes. I love that. He vibes.
He was so infuriating. I wanted to discuss 2 points with you. I found it very interesting that at least on two at 2 different junctures, Aparna Sen's character says very openly and at other points kind of implies that the daughter is jealous of her. So I
Yeah.
want to talk about this concept of like jealousy potentially.
Right.
Um,
Can you describe that interchange exchange a little bit more?
so when they're having dinner, like the mother daughter and Somnath, they're having dinner, and then there's the phone is constantly ringing in
It
this
does.
movie,
Yeah,
right?
the
Like it's
phone's a real character
constantly,
here.
it's such a character, it's so irritating. um
And of
it
course they have to
reminded me.
get up and go get it because it's not in their pockets. And you're like, oh yeah, I remember that, man. That
Yeah,
was,
like you can't silence it, you gotta go, it's gonna
but in a
keep
way,
doing
it's
that annoying
less
sound.
disruptive than when it's in your pocket because at least the person having the conversation gets up and leaves. But
Right.
yeah, the noise
Yeah.
of it coming from outside is really like all the time.
Yeah. But it's like there's this constant, like, their home is never going to be a sanctuary because in their home there's
No,
always either the sound of the dance students
right.
or like, of their anklets and their music and the musicians, or yeah, or there's the sound of the phone constantly, and I'm just kind of like, man, there's like not one moment's rest in this house, like I don't want to live here. Anyway, but so they're having lunch, and at one point I think Aparna Sain or Somnath, one of them say to the daughter like, yeah, she won this like big award, right? Like she got the Sangeet, which the daughter has no clue. Like this is the first the daughter is hearing it of it, which I also thought was so weird because like if your mother won this enormous award, wouldn't you know about it? Wouldn't she tell you? Apparently not. And then when she's like, oh yeah, I heard because of the phone call, and then the mother's like, well, why would you congratulate me? Of course you wouldn't, because like you're jealous. And I was like, oh no, like did she just say she's jealous? But she does say that on another juncture as well, and I did wonder. I was like, to what extent is it just her being like catty and intentionally trying to wound her daughter, and to what extent does she actually believe that her celebrity and her star status and her glamour and her fame is in fact something that her daughter is jealous for, because her daughter truly does not seem to celebrate her mother's
No,
gigantic
not at
success.
all. And nor does her daughter seem to seek anything like that for herself, including there's a little bit about clothes in here. And we see the daughter like
Yes.
her house dress and like uh
Her daughter is very drab, isn't she?
Yeah, and like an oversized t-shirt and like kind of
Like a skirt.
oh that skirt. Like it seemed very American boho college girl from the 90s
It's
to me. I'm
very
like, oh,
Fab
I recognize
India.
that. Yeah, 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 yeah,
That
yeah,
I
yeah.
had
Yeah.
that skirt from Fab
Yeah.
India.
And like big glasses from the 90s and big curly
And
hair.
like
We
no
talked about
makeup.
that.
Whereas
No,
like when you look
no,
at
very
Aparna Sen in this
plain.
movie, okay, I was in love with her outfits. I was in love with her
Super
makeup. Like
beautiful
she looked
saris.
so
Yeah.
stunning. She's
Yeah.
wearing these beautiful saris. She has so much jewelry on.
Mhm.
And she even the care that she takes with her makeup, like when they've shown her at her vanity and she's making like the big bindi, she's not just putting a stick on. She has like the little tube of kumkum and she's slowly making a perfect sphere and then putting a little dot behind it. I was like, wow, she is particular.
Yeah.
And then
She
her
is.
perfume and the way she wears
Oh,
her
her
jewelry and
perfume. Yeah.
everything. Just the way she was dressing, I was like, this is a diva. Like, I love it.
I thought the line about jealousy struck me as this is a thing she is accustomed to saying to people she's mad at,
Okay.
regardless of who they are. And so it didn't have anything in specific to do with the daughter. And that in itself is hurtful.
Mm,
Like this is just a stock thing that she assumes about people.
accuses.
Yeah. And it's the negative side of her life, I guess, right? Of being, she's kind of a brat about it, if you can call a 50-year-old a brat. And I think you can. I'm
Yeah.
51. I know some brats my age. Uh, so I almost think it was completely unpersonal at all, which isn't then turns to be personal because you don't even know your daughter enough
Yeah.
to know that that's such an irrelevant comment to make. Also, assuming someone's jealous of you is kind of like the stupidest, most childish thing that you can, like, you're giving them no credit at all and you're not even thinking about the content of what they're experiencing. You're like, you did it,
Right.
like, oh, you're
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
jealous. No, she's not. She's not.
Yeah.
She does find you hard to live with
Right.
and be around, but that's not necessarily jealousy.
Right. That's interesting.
I think that's how it struck me, just because it seemed like it had no context at all. However,
Yeah.
maybe that's a thing that they've kind of snipped at each other about for years. And the mom does say to the daughter, you never celebrate
My wins.
my wins, my talents, my anything. I'm not sure I think a parent should seek that from a child.
Mm,
I'm not sure that's a healthy thing for a parent to want from a child. I can see a child wanting it from a parent, of course, certainly when you are a child, not just it's your parent. But I'm not sure about that. And it made me think, like, if either of my parents had ever said that to me, I think I'd find that
I
weird, but I don't know. But they're also not internationally famous dancers, so
right, right.
performers, right? So I
I
don't
mean,
know.
I feel like it is important though, because it's like reciprocity, right? Like
Yeah,
these
yeah.
are they're both adults now. She's no longer a child,
But a
and it's like
parent-child relationship can never be fully reciprocal because you're
correct.
always the child,
Yeah.
even when you're 50, that you're still the child in that relationship.
But to
Even if
me,
you
it
don't.
does feel like such a glaring thing, like when your parent has won this absolutely enormous
Yes.
award,
Yeah.
and to not acknowledge it and to
Yeah.
not celebrate it, and just to walk around the house with this mournful expression on your face. I mean, it's disrespectful. I was like, the least you can do is like I don't know, ask your mom a few questions about it, like ask her if she's excited, ask her if she's happy, what is she going to wear to the ceremony. She clearly takes a lot of care about her dress. Like I feel like when I put myself in the mom's shoes, I feel like it would be very hurtful that your child does not even seem to care about your professional successes. I mean, this is a widowed lady who is living by herself in Calcutta and continues to like shine in the professional stage and continues to be a teacher. And I feel like a little bit of an acknowledgement of how hard she's worked would go a long way. And it came across as very like immature and like a little bit mean spirited that the daughter couldn't really even bring herself to say that. And like I feel like I would be hurt if that was my child and they couldn't even like be like, I'm proud of you. Like I feel like everyone needs to hear that, right?
Yeah, that's
So
true. Having someone be proud of you. Um, and maybe this is interesting. Sometimes I think someone saying they're proud of you for the smaller, more private wins is actually more meaningful than when someone acknowledges you won this national award that everyone's
right.
heard of. Um, yeah, that's interesting. But it sounds like she's never really given her mother any.
Yeah.
kudos for her achievements, her longevity to like to be 50 and to still be recognized
Yeah.
as a dancer. Like, and because we learned that the mother has a bad knee. And so we
Yes.
can
She's
imagine how
rheumatism.
that's impacting her physical, the physical tools that she uses for her art, which is her body,
Yeah.
right? So they don't really go into that. It's just kind of in the background a few times.
What's so funny though is that Somnath obviously knows and talks about it. Her husband had spoken about it, and most importantly, her students care about
Yes,
it. So there's
they
the
know. Yeah,
student Sangeeta who comes to the house with the flowers, and I just thought like she was so sweet. She comes over with these flowers and she says these are champa flowers that Sarojini that she loves, and so I brought these for her to celebrate. And I hope her knee is better, and you're a doctor, and I hope you can look into it. And like the daughter is like, wait, she has a bad knee? Like she has absolutely no idea. But then also I was kind of like, with the student, I was like, how much of that is like like I do think that there's genuine friendship and caring, but how much of it is like being a fangirl? Like there's the care that your student shows towards you and the care that like a fan shows towards you. But I feel like it would be so much more meaningful if your daughter showed it to you, and she doesn't even seem to know that you have a bad knee. But whose fault is that? Did you
right.
tell her you have a bad knee?
And she's
She's
been
not.
away at school and then university, right? So they talk about her moving into a hostel after the dad died.
Yeah.
The mom isn't around to take care of her. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's just some of these things are like, it's just how life has happened to go. It's not really a fault. And again, like
Yeah.
they can't text each other.
Right.
We have to remember and then tell people who weren't around to remember it. Like staying in touch with people in the 90s and the 80s was a lot harder. It's not impossible
Yeah.
by any means. It is not
You
impossible.
had to be so intentional.
But like my parents and I worked out some kind of schedule where we talked to each other on the phone every other week when I was away at university, for example. Like it had to
Right.
be you could just spur of the moment call people, but you had to very well expect that they would not be at home, right?
Right. Yeah.
And you'd leave a message with the roommate or on the answering machine or whatever. Like this
And
was
in India, they
not
didn't even have answering machines. If
right.
you missed them because they were out of the house, you called their landline and they weren't there. Okay, well, you could just try later, I guess. But there was no answering machine. So, you know, I just feel like there's so much that they don't talk about, and it's
Yeah,
everything is so superficial, so superfluous. They don't actually share their lives with each other ever at all. They're like basically strangers to each other, and
yes, they
it's
are.
like it's so sad, but it's also like what is what horrible thing has even been done to either of you that there is such a huge gulf between you? Because I don't think either of these women are terrible people. They're both doing the best they can, but there's just so many misunderstandings. And I did wonder to what extent it was the father who
Who
drove like
poisoned
a
the well?
wedge.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
he
like
did.
drove a
I think
wedge
he did.
between them.
Because even if he never said directly to the daughter, who is again like certainly not older than 12, I would say.
Right. I would
Maybe
think she
10.
was like 8 or 9 maybe.
Yeah. So even if he doesn't directly say things to her, I'm sure she picks up on his disdain for his wife.
Yes.
And it's not just like he's kind of benignly like, oh, you do you, right? No, he dislikes his wife.
Yeah. And it's not just him, but like if you remember, like the opening scene of this movie is so interesting because like, there's these ladies, like these aunties basically, right, in the family, and they're making chai because there's the people are coming over to see like the dead body like awake, and there's these women over there, and it's like they're speaking so dismissively about Aparna Sen's character, and they're like, well, of course she isn't here, where she's traveling. Well, did you see she was on the cover of Illustrated Weekly? Like they're gossiping about her, and they're
Yeah.
so mean and awful about it. I wanted to slap both of them.
Yeah.
Um, but it does. I do also wonder how much of the poison towards the mother has been created, not just by the dad, but by the women in this girl's life, right? Like, imagine you have these aunties that are genuinely so kind and sweet towards you, but in the same breath, they're muttering these hateful things about your mother because they're like, "Ugh, how dare she like travel, like who travels," and stuff like that. And then you're going to pick up on all of that and make your mother this like terrible person, and all she's trying to do is do her job and also fulfill her dreams. Like it's not like she's committed some big crime. So
No.
there's just, I feel like there's so many people in here like stirring the pot, and no one really seems inclined. Like I don't think there was a single character in this movie, well, except for Somnath. There was no one in this movie that actually seemed to care about bringing the women together, and I felt like that was sad.
I agree. I was about to say, I'm not even sure there were people in this movie who cared about these women.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's true. I think the
I feel like the nanny does.
yeah, I think the nanny does, about the daughter anyway.
Yeah.
But again, what is care when you are in someone's employ? Exactly, like what is that? But she does act intentionally in caretaking ways and supportive ways. Although I think she too doesn't fully understand like the life that this girl has had and will go on to have, and like what the relationship is and stuff like that. But that's okay. But
Yeah.
yeah, she does have at least one adult around who helps look out for her a little bit, even though she's still
Hmm.
but
So interesting.
yeah, it was very interesting. I was thinking there's something you said that made me think about what is and is not said explicitly in this film. And then I was thinking, I suspect that's kind of a gauche thing, right? To have
Yeah.
stuff that doesn't get said explicitly, even though there's plenty of talking in these films. It's not like they're silent, but they're not, there's a lot of time that it's not talking also, that you see people reacting, or in this film crying. There's a lot of crying in this.
Hmm.
um and I don't have a strong enough handle on his filmography as a whole to say that, but I started to think about that because in Last Lear, I feel like there's more talking, but you also
Oh,
have
yeah.
as an actor, so of course there's more talking. Um, but yeah, did you think this was a national award winning performance from Debashree Roy? I tried to find out what the other nominees were this year, and I could not find a list of nominees.
I'm actually shocked that Debashree Roy got that because I thought that if anyone would get it, it would be Aparna Sen because I thought she was amazing.
Good.
I loved her in this role. What I loved about her was how haughty she was.
Jude Haughty, yeah.
Like she's such a diva, but at the same time, she is vulnerable too. Like
Mhm.
in the scenes where she's talking about what her marriage was like and the sacrifices she had to make about it. I just thought that she moved so seamlessly between those worlds. And then just like even her little gestures, like her irritation, like she's so irritable.
Oh, she's so irritable, and it's really fun to watch her do that because you're like, women don't necessarily get to do that very
Yeah,
often,
it's
and not
very
be like criticized
yeah.
for it.
It's enjoyable, right? And it's relatable. Like she comes in from the rain and the daughter's just opening the door and she's like, "Well, close the door. Like it's raining. I'm getting wet. My sari's getting wet."
I'm gonna talk about that door for a minute. The opening of the front door at this house is a big production because it's got a giant wooden bar that you have to like lift and move out of
Yeah.
the way. I thought that was very interesting. Like that seemed very deliberate to me, that this is a conscious act that takes a minute to let
Like a
yourself
fortress.
open up and be vulnerable, right? And the fact that
Mhm.
the whole finale string of conversations between the mother and daughter is initiated when the daughter lifts that thing off and lets the mother in.
Yeah.
That
I
felt
feel like the house is supposed to be like a fortress.
yeah,
It is also what I found so interesting is like when the daughter says to the student, she says, "Oh, I live upstairs."
right.
So my assumption is it's a bungalow or a
Yeah.
duplex,
It's
and
a big
then
house.
her
Yeah.
bedroom is upstairs and they downstairs,
Yeah.
and then the friend is like, the student is like, "Oh, you live upstairs," but like even in that, there's the separation, right? Like this is the mother's floor, and then that's the daughter's floor.
I was just thinking we never see anybody outside in this film, do we at all?
Mm-mm.
Very contained. Now you see her in her her like hostel room with the boyfriend, and you see her on the
In the
train. The
train.
camera's on the platform and she's on the train, but we know like there's no trees, there's no flower outdoor, there's garlands, but there's no like growing flowers. You hear birds, but you don't see them. Like it's a very interior-y film.
Oh, that made me laugh. Like that scene at at the dinner table, at the lunch table, whatever. And Somnath is like, "Oh, so they're gonna do this like photo shoot of you
Oh
for
yeah.
having won this award in like full costume." And she's like, "Of course." And she wears like the whole Bharatanatyam costume, and she
Yeah.
looks so good. I was
Yeah.
like, Aparna said, "You look beautiful." So she
Also,
has,
I mean, if you didn't know she and Coco were related, you would have no doubt. They look identical.
they do.
I'm like, I've never seen a picture of Coco Konkana Sen Sharma's dad, but like his genes are not there.
No,
That
no,
is
not at
copy
all.
paste mother
It's like the
daughter.
Kapoors. It's like the Kapoors, right?
Yeah.
The
Who
Kapoors get married to other people and they're
doesn't
like,
matter.
"Your genes are not needed. Thank you very much. Get out." And they just
Keep
keep
the
the genes
bloodline.
in there. Yeah. And they're like, "We're not interested in your
Same
contribution.
bloodline,
Thanks."
also very strong.
Yes. So, yeah, so she's wearing this whole outfit and everything. And then Somnat says to her, "Why did they do the photo shoot in the garden? Like, why did you have?" Because she's complaining about how hot it is, and he's like, "Why didn't they just do it in here?" And she just snaps at him. He's like, "You have no aesthetic sense."
And I thought that was such a fun thing to hear about because you're like, because he says like you could have just put a sheet up, and she's like, I don't want my photo taken with a lamp in the background. Like I need to be
Yeah,
in nature. And you're like, yeah,
yeah. And she's like, I don't want people seeing like a ceiling fan and a
yeah,
lamp and like
yeah.
furniture. Like that's ridiculous. I should be
I don't live
outside
in
in
a
a park."
house.
Yeah, with
Right,
like
like what?
trees and like flowers and fruits. And I was like, "You are such a diva,"
And
but
we
like
never
I
see
love
them.
it.
But that's a thing that like that's very much the aesthetic. It's great. It's
I
great.
loved it.
Yeah.
I There was like a part of me that was like, "Oh no, please show me the photo shoot." Like I'm desperate.
Well, so
I
the
would watch 15 minutes of just Aparna scene in the garden, just like posing
if
and
this
like
film
doing all
was
the
made
poses.
now, like those would be like on Instagram and stuff
Oh
as
yeah,
promotional
for sure.
material. There's a scene where it's a flashback to her talking with her husband. I forget if the baby has been born yet or
Mm.
not in this one, but she's gotten a poster made of some photos of her, a photo of herself, and it's framed. And she's talking about where she'd like to put it up in the house. And he's like, "Go on, turn the whole house into your like showroom, basically." And I do understand. I kind of was with him a little bit at that point, like put it in your dance studio or something, right? Like,
Yeah.
but it's a really cool arty poster as well. It's not
Yeah.
just like my glossy headshot. And as we have
Right.
discussed in mainstream Hindi films, and I have seen it in Bengali as well, people in the movies have giant portraits of themselves all over their houses. So I'm like, this is
Yes.
better than what the standard issue decor is. So like, what's your problem, man? It was like green and yellow, like black and white,
Yeah.
but it was green and yellow. It was very cool. I forget the term for that, but um, and she's like,
She
I'll
wants
do
to
that.
put it by the phone.
Yeah. And then
And
he's
he's like,
like,
by the phone, there's a calendar.
yeah. And then he's like, what poster can you make of me or whatever? And she goes and gets out a bunch of photos of him and he doesn't want to hear it. So like
Yeah.
she's playing along and she's very cheerful. I don't know if she's actually cheerful, but she's smiling while she does that. It's really, I thought that was very funny.
Yeah. But you know what's really funny? Like a few years ago, I had seen, like ages and ages ago, during the blogging days, I had seen photos of Meenakshi Shashadri, who of course had gotten married and moved to Texas, and she's married to like some investment bank or whatever, and she had kids. And it was an interview that some Indian magazine had done with her in her house in Plano, Texas. And I read the whole interview. Someone had scanned it and put it up in the blogging days. And of course, I was like, zooming in and
Yeah.
trying to read everything she had written because it was so interesting. And oh my God, Beth, I have to send you these photos. She has it, like, at least at the time, in her Plano house, she had gigantic blown up pictures of herself as a heroine
Love it.
everywhere.
Love it.
Everywhere. This is a suburban house in Texas. And when I say gigantic, like gigantic blown up
Like
photos with
poster
her like
size.
80s bouffant hair. And I was like, you have
Love it.
entire walls of
Love it.
your photos. Like, that's weird and interesting. Like, what exactly does your banker husband think about
And
this?
a heroine.
Yeah, exactly. But like, so on the one hand, I'm like, yes, this is very much a thing, not
Mhm.
just in film, but it is very much a film star thing where they want to surround themselves with photos of
Real.
their beauty. I mean, they're
Love
nothing
it.
if not vain. But on the other hand, I also feel like it's yet another example of this sadharan man basically trying to dim her light.
Yeah.
Yeah, she wants to put a picture of herself, the school poster by the phone. What is your problem? Let her do it. It makes her happy. I mean, if she starts taking over an entire wall, then, we can recalibrate. But let her put that one picture up. Like, he was so grumpy about it.
Was.
Um, yeah, if I was married to Aparna Seth, I would let her do that. But I thought that was really cool. What do you think about? I wanted to discuss the costuming in this movie because I really think that Aparna Sen's her saris were so beautiful. And I found something very interesting about her in particular, that she is a widow. And yet, it's not just that she wears colorful saris and stuff, that's fine, but she literally wears a big red bindi, which is very much a symbol of marriage. And
Mhm.
I don't know if Bengali Mangalsutras look different from the
Oh,
ones worn
yeah,
in
I
other parts
wonder.
of the country, but I'm pretty sure that one of the necklaces, I mean, she wears multiple. She loves layering. She is not a minimalist diva, she's a
Yeah,
maximalist diva.
yeah.
But one of the necklaces she's worn, I'm pretty sure she's wearing a Mangalsutra.
I
So
wondered
that
that
also,
too. Yeah.
and I found that very interesting too. I was like, is this seems very intentional, because I get the impression that everything this
Oh, yeah.
character does is
Yeah, I think so.
intentional and
I
she's
think
making a
so.
point.
Yeah.
So I just kind of was like, what's what's going on here? What are we trying to say here? I still don't know what she was trying to say, but I did find it very interesting. Um, and then the other point I wanted to ask you about was like, clearly, this is a woman who takes great pride in her appearance, and how she presents herself is like a really big deal for her. Because think about it, when she's flying to Madras, that entire getup that she's wearing, that's to fly to
Yeah.
Madras. I fly in sweatpants. Now, I'm not a nationally acclaimed dancer, but I'm just saying, like, that seems like a lot of effort to be putting into a stupid local flight. Um, what do you think of the daughter being such a plain Jane in comparison? Because it's not just in her mother's house that we see her lounging around in that Fab India skirt and the loosey goosey t-shirt that, doesn't even fit her well. But even in her hostel days, we don't really see her dressing up or anything like that. Do you think that that's just her personality, or do you think it's a reaction to her mother? Like, I'm
I
not
bet
going to
it's a
do anything you
subconscious
do.
reaction, probably. Yeah, she may not articulate it as such. Also,
Mm.
I mean, you will know better than I. In the US in the 90s, clothes were big. We had a lot
Yes.
of fabric on, a lot of us, a lot of the time. To me, it just looked like it's the 90s. Her hair's big,
Yeah.
and not sprayed big. She just has curly hair and it's like big,
Yeah.
like Charisma Kapoor and other people we have talked.
Yes.
She has the glasses are big. She has very owly glasses. So does her mother because it's the time. And her
Hmm.
clothes are big. Like everything's big.
Hmm.
So to me,
But
it's just red 90s. So I'm not, I don't know.
but she also wasn't wearing any makeup at all. I found
No.
that interesting. Because like even in the 90s, people wore makeup. And to
Yeah.
me, like her mom being so like, she has like a whole vanity and a whole setup and
Yeah.
everything. And I just found that very
There's
interesting. I
a
also found it
scene.
interesting that the daughter never wanted to study dance.
Yeah. There's a scene where the daughter is very upset to smell a perfume that her mother loved. And she's like, oh, that smell made me so upset when I was a kid. I would hide my face in my bed to try to escape it. Because obviously the perfume means her mother has returned from something and like it's really so I'm sure, it's kind of tangled up, right? But
Yeah.
when we saw her in her college hostel or whatever, she's not wearing makeup really there either, is she?
Mm-mm.
No, she
No.
just doesn't.
There's just one scene where she's wearing like a nice outfit and she does have a full face of makeup. And that's the scene where she's with the boyfriend on the bed with him and he gets a phone call and it's from some lady. He's speaking in Hindi, but I don't know whom
It's
he's
his
speaking with.
house. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's supposed
The
to give like a
auntie.
plumber's number or
It's an
something to
auntie who
her.
wants a plumber's
Yeah.
number.
And he's so funny. He like literally thinks, he's like, oh, yeah, let me look at my diary. And he's like counting like 2, 3,
Yeah.
4.
That was
Oh, yeah,
very
I can't
funny.
find it. I was like, you are such a jerk.
But then why would he have the plumber's number, right? He's a college student. Like,
I know. But in that scene, we did
that's
see him
right.
with, we saw her with all of the makeup, and then she's pouting and she's sulky and upset because she's like, have you spoken to your parents about me? And he's like, no, I haven't. And then he's like, they want a homely girl. And she's like, well, I'll give up medicine. He's like, you want to give up medicine for me? And I'm like, girl,
Girl, don't do it. No, girl, don't do it.
why do you think she doesn't have any friends? Do you agree with my theory that all her friends dumped her because she wouldn't dump him?
I think that's entirely possible. I think it's also possible because of her reaction to her mother, doesn't sort of implicitly does not trust or does not want to relate to women.
Mm,
Um,
interesting.
what was her school? Because we don't see her when she's in like we don't see her as a teenager, for example. Like she's clearly at an all girls school, right? So like
Yeah.
have had, but and maybe she's also like we don't get to see how she handles the grief of her dad, right? She's shipped
Hmm.
off to school. She may or may not know anybody there. Like, she probably, I'm imagining she had a pretty unhappy teenagerhood.
Right.
Um, Being a teenager is hard anyway. And then when the parent that you bond with is gone, like, you're sad.
Yeah.
Like, it's just bad. So maybe she never really learned how to make friends, also, right? Like,
Right.
that's not easy for everyone. So
Because it also doesn't seem
bad.
like she has anyone to model it on, because it really doesn't sound like her mom has any friends. Her mom has fans,
Her
not
mom has
friends.
fans. And she has Somnath, but we don't
Yeah.
exactly know what that relationship is. And it, it's not a fully even friendship, I don't think.
No. She's always going to be the star. She's always going to have the upper
Kind of
hand over
bosses
him.
him
And he
around
knows
a
it.
little bit.
Yeah, she
So
does.
yeah, it's not exactly a friendship in a way, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I suspect Somnath is happy to be bossed around. And I
Oh yeah,
suspect she's
he used to
happy
know
to
what
have
he did.
someone she can boss around because she couldn't boss around her husband.
Yeah, yeah,
Interesting.
seriously.
Yeah, you made a point that I wanted to get into, where you were talking about how there's this movie just has like a lot of basically interior shots, and I associate that so much with Ghosh because
Uh,
Chokar Bali, of course, has a lot of exterior shots and things like that, but Raincoat is almost entirely shot over
mm,
one night in that one dingy, mildewy
mm,
home
yeah,
apartment that Aishwarya Rai lives in. And then lastly, or so much of that movie is also
yeah,
inside Amitabh Bachchan's
yeah.
apartment as well. And then Antar Mahal, which I've seen, does have some exterior shots because Abhishek Bachchan is a sculptor, but a lot of the shots of Soha Ali Khan are kind of. Are you giggling?
I love Abhishek Bachchan, sculptor. Back in this era, like, I don't know about that. I'm ready to be convinced, but like, I don't know about that.
Have you seen Antar Mahal? It's okay. It's not, you're not missing
Oh,
much by not watching it. But yeah, so Sohali Khan has a lot of like scenes in the Haveli, but she doesn't really go out of it or anything.
okay.
So I feel like this is a ghost thing.
A
Like,
Ghosh film that I like that I know some other people do not is his take on Detective Bumkesh Bakshi, because he's also taken on the Detective Bakshi, the Bumkesh mantle. So he directs a version of it with Sujoy Ghosh as Bumkesh. Um,
okay.
I really liked this. There's only the one of them. I really liked it, but that's set in the forest, and so that you do see some nature there. But they are inside in a study and stuff like that a fair amount. But of course,
What's this movie called?
it is called Satyan Veshi. Satyan Veshi.
Okay, because I looked at his filmography to see how many of his films I'd watched, and I don't know if that one, I don't know if that one came up in the thingy, or maybe I just didn't pay attention to it.
And Ch- um Chitrangada, that one is inside some, but it's also on like the verandas and stuff, so you get a little more
Mm,
outside on that one, and some you see some street scenes and stuff like that. But yeah, and I'm sure we have some listeners who are more acquainted with Ghosh than we are, but
yeah.
um,
I like one of the things I really like about Ghosh, apart from the fact that I love Raincoat and Chokher Bali, and now I really do like Unishe April, although I won't like it as much as Raincoat and Chokher Bali, is that I like the fact that he always attempts something.
oh yeah.
He
Oh yeah.
like he's never phoning it in. He always
No,
has a point of view.
not that I've
He
seen.
has something to say. You can see how his scripts, like he's trying, and I always know that I'm going to have some sort of strong opinion about his film, so I never feel like what did I just watch, even when I don't, even when the movie does not necessarily land for me, such as Last Layer or Antar Mahal. I still appreciate the effort, and I'm like, I don't feel like watching a Ghosh movie is ever like wasted.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
the movie that Prosenjit's in with Bipasha that I like is also a Ghosh film. I'd forgotten that.
Is it the Paromitar Hiten?
Shobchartro Kalpanik.
Ah, Shubhcharita Kalpanik. I want to see that because Bipasha looks so beautiful in it.
Yeah.
Is Prasenjit a cat in it to her? Because I will not like that.
If memory serves. It's about a rocky relationship, if I recall. I don't know if I don't remember if I would call him a cat or not, but
Okay.
is he an ideal partner? I'm suspecting no. Because otherwise what you make a movie about?
All right. Okay, so I had given you a little bit of homework.
Yeah.
Um, I had asked you to tell me, like, to name some mas that you think are interesting because they're not
Mhm.
just self sacrificing people who do your favorite thing ever, which is tag,
Yeah.
and who are not constantly upholding everybody's izzat.
Oh.
So, are there any specific mas that come to mind that you enjoy?
Why was this difficult? I don't know. But I will bring there are two people who came to mind, and then there were multiple films. So Sri Devi's later in life career, right, with Mom, which I
Oh,
did try
yeah.
to rewatch a while ago and then just couldn't because of the violence. I didn't want to do it. And of course, English English. She's a very interesting mother in that one, and a mother is part of what's going on there, not the only piece. And then I mean, Madhuri Dixit's, you know, her later stuff with the most recent stuff she's done as a mom in like Fame Game. That's weird and
Yeah,
interesting.
Fame
And then
Game. Yeah.
Maja
Or
Mas.
Aj
It's
Or
lovely.
Majama, yeah, where
Right.
she literally is like basically coming out of the closet and like
Yeah.
a mother as a sexual being. Who'd have
Right.
think it?
Shocking.
Yeah.
I would say that the Kangana film Panga that I watched, that's another
Oh.
great mom. So I feel like I'm sure there must be films from the 70s and all like my where my heart lives that did
Yeah.
have interesting moms, but those were not coming to mind for me. And to my credit, I did get this assignment only today, and I have work all
Yes.
day and I have rehearsals, so like I didn't have a ton of time to sit and think about this, unfortunately. But there are, you know, they're out there, and when we if we do some more Mother's Day episodes over the course of our
Yeah.
podcast, maybe we'll have some more. But those
S-
those two women in particular, as playing some, you know, in their recent year. I know Sri Devi's most recent films are not recent anymore. I know.
I
In
know.
my head, they're still quite recent, and that's not true. Um, but
And in
I
fact,
love that those
Madhuri,
have well, I
huh?
love that those roles have been available for them to do.
Yeah.
I think that's really great.
And in fact, there's a Madhuri movie that's going to come on Netflix sometime in 2026 called Ma Behen,
Yeah,
where she plays mom to Tripti Dimri. And I believe that that
love
movie is
that
about the
idea.
mother and daughter. And I don't know what it's about, but it's giving like thriller, it's giving noir.
Mhm.
And I would love to see Madhuri be wicked in that.
Yeah,
That would be really cool, I
yeah,
think.
yeah.
So the mas that I wrote that I find very interesting. So first of all, I mentioned Masum because I really like Shabana Azmi's Ma in it because she is that rare breed, which is the Ma who doesn't want to be Ma.
Right.
And she is the Ma upon whom motherhood is thrust upon her
Yeah.
and forced upon her. And she's like, don't want it. No, thank you. And I have never seen an actress in Hindi cinema or just Indian cinema say, no, thank you, not interested in being a Ma. It's not a thing.
So on the one hand, she gets to play that. On the other hand, she's in that movie Lori that I watched where she kidnaps a child because she biologically cannot have a child. And then she just kidnaps one and everyone's like, oh, okay, well, you really wanted it and you seem unwell. So like that's
If people seem unhinged enough, they can get away with a lot, Beth.
and it listeners, if you have not seen this film or heard us talk about it, please go to our Shabana episode and listen to me rave about this or like rave in a like I'm raving, not I think it's
Yeah,
great. Like this is insane. This is an insane film. That's a standout ma for sure, not in a good way.
right?
She's interesting. Sure is interesting.
Right. Well, her mind, Masum, is also so interesting because she is very much a willing participant in motherhood and parenthood with her two biological daughters, one of whom happens to be baby Urmila. It's just when the motherhood is thrust upon her and she
Yeah,
has to accept the child of her husband's lover that he had an affair with, that's when she's like, no, thank you.
fair
I
enough.
think Shabana has done that role. I mean, she's Shabana. Of course,
Yeah,
she's
yep,
done that movie role
yep,
beautifully.
yep.
The next movie I wanted to mention was Darlings, which
Ah, yes.
we started our
Yeah,
podcast with this, and Shefali Shah, Chef's Kiss. I have like, what can I say about Shefali Shah that hasn't been said? She's amazing, and I
yeah.
love how she is her child's protector in this movie and her voice of reason, and just so hell-bent on making sure her kid is okay. I love that. um, I'm going to mention a movie that you recently talked about where I had forgotten how heinous this ma was, and that was Kapoor and Sons. Ratna Pathak in that movie is a very, very interesting ma because, like, how, I mean, I'm an only child, you're an only child, so this is not something we're particularly familiar with, but I have lots of friends who keep complaining about how their sibling is always the favorite or whatever. And this movie takes favoritism towards one child over the other to a different level.
It really does. And it's so, I don't remember if I said this when we discussed this film this a while ago, but the more I think about like, that is dark. That is really dark.
Yeah.
It is a violence of a kind that is
Hmm.
so full of betrayal and just cutting.
It's so
Oh, it's
manipulative because
horrible for everyone.
she's not just ruining her relationship with the kid that she gypped, which is Siddharth Malhotra, but she's also ruining the relationship between the two brothers, and she
Yeah,
doesn't seem to particularly care
doesn't
about
care.
that.
Doesn't care.
So that's interesting too.
Oh,
That takes
yeah, that's
like,
a great one.
yeah. And then I really love this Ma, which is Rema Lago in Vastav. The
Hmm.
last scene in this movie, especially, it's just one of the most powerful scenes I've ever seen, where she is, you know, talking to her son, which is Sanjay Dutt, and he's basically going to die. I mean, he's been shot. And her role in this movie is so interesting to me because you can see her seeing this train wreck that's happening, and she doesn't have the ability to stop it. And I just find his relationship with her just so amazing. And even at the end, like she's trying till the very end to protect her kid from his own bad choices and decisions. And there's just something so heartbreaking about that. But I think these are some of the interesting mods that I've liked.
And as much as I never want to see Mother India ever again, that's a very interesting ma.
That's a very interesting ma. Yeah, she shot her kid.
That happens super often.
Yeah, that's like, I mean, that's like regular. Okay, Beth.
And how it takes I think I may have said this before, so my apologies, but what I had understood the term, not the movie, but the term Mother India to mean was completely upended by that action in that film, right?
Right.
You're like, oh, did not expect.
Yeah, exactly.
I love whatever
I
Mehboob
can
Khan is getting at there. I find it very fascinating.
It must have been so shocking. Imagine being someone in that era and that movie is released and you don't know the first thing about it and you see the movie poster, which is so
Right.
dire. And then you read the title and you know Nargis in it. Yeah. And you're like, oh my God. And then you go and see it and you're like, wait, what just happened? She shot her kid. Okay. I mean, that is a very, very cool role.
Yeah.
So
There's some great moms out there, and
yeah.
I really wanted to bring a Bengali ma into this, and I couldn't think of one. Suchitra Sen, of course, has a few roles I've seen where she plays a mother, but I have not seen one, I don't think, where that's the point. So it's kind of like
Mm.
not, she's doing some kind of medical malfeasance or something else going on or in the ones I've seen. So I imagine she must play a pretty mother at some point or other. Um,
Do you remember back in the blog days, when we would have those like hashtags that we would use? I
yeah.
can totally imagine a hashtag that says medical malfeasance, and then there's so many movies like film filed
Let's
under
do
it.
a medical malfeasance episode. It's going to be like every medical movie ever, and you can have all the Shami Kapoor doctors you want.
Yes.
God, we see
And
it.
you can have all the Vinod Mehra doctors you want, like with their hairy chests.
We cannot leave this film since you have brought it up. Prasenjit really giving Anil Kapoor a run for the money on the hairy chest department. I
That
did
was
not
a
know
whole
that.
IKEA rug on him. There was an
Full,
IKEA rug.
full.
It was
It's the
horrible.
90s. Everyone's hairy.
It was so horrible. I mean, I did a
I'm
double take, but
shocked.
I was like, oh, that's kind of awful. It was giving Austin Powers.
It was. It was. I'm like, you know what? I don't understand these beauty standards. You do you, sir. Whatever.
My
But it is
favorite is
surprising.
there's an Anil Kapoor movie that I actually like really love, which is Wasadin, and which is the original of Hum Dill De Chuke Sanam. And there's a scene where Anil Kapoor is going to take a bath, which please we don't want to see Anil Kapoor taking a bath. And like I'm talking about Anil Kapoor taking a bath, and then you hold your adorable cat, and
Yeah,
it's
my
like the
kitty cat is here
cognitive
for more
dissonance
for
is
content.
yeah, like I need a martini, I can't. And he's taking a bath and there's hair everywhere, and my favorite thing is that there's hair on his shoulders,
Right.
like on his shoulders. I didn't even know hair could grow on your shoulders. Can it? Like that's not
Anil
even
Kapoor says yes. All right.
it's not chest hair and it's not back hair, it's shoulder hair. And then of course I took photos and I sent it to Lunchy because that's the kind of friend I am. And Lunchy was probably like, excuse me. I don't understand how this episode started with us talking about like a highbrow topic and like mothers and
Rituparno
daughters and
Ghosh is the new
relationships.
Satyajit Ray. Discuss. And we're like, no, but we want to finish with body hair standards in the 90s. We
I
are who we
know.
are. What can we say?
It is terrible. Mm. Okay. Well, I think that concludes this episode, unless you have anything to add.
I
Okay.
would like to know if people have recommendations about more Ghosh films that we should see, because I think we're both interested. Um,
Yes.
I've seen about half of them, I think, and I would gladly rewatch some of the ones that I've
I
seen before.
definitely want to see the Vipasha Basu one because it's Vipasha Basu.
Maybe we should do an episode on that just for funsies.
Yeah, let's do that.
No one will listen because they'll be like, what? But and we'll mispronounce all the Bengali names. That will be fun for everyone.
Yay. And hopefully you will get Prosenjit chest hair photos.
I'm pretty sure he's active on Instagram, so you could send him the episode and be like,
And no, I will not be doing that. I would be terrified. Okay, I think that concludes this episode. Please let us know if you have seen Unishe April. What are your thoughts about this film? I feel like this movie is simultaneously both very talked about on the internet, but also not talked about in like real life. So I'm just
Mhm.
very curious to see what people think about it. Also, what are your thoughts on Rituparno Ghosh as a director? I'm very intrigued by his filmography and I want to keep exploring it.
And do you
Um,
know of any other mother-daughter films that we should watch?
yeah. What are some of the mother daughter films you think that we
There
should
must
be
be
watching?
some.
Yeah, and also name some of your interesting Mars to us. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm sure we have only just scratched the surface, and there must be so many interesting Mars that we have just completely
Yeah.
forgotten to mention. So, thank you for watching, and we will see you next week. Bye.